What was the first vehicle you ever bought or owned? I asked fighters that question in the latest edition of MMA Pros Pick.
The first car I ever drove was my mom's car. She had like I think it was a Ford Fiesta, I think.
First vehicle I ever bought was a twin turbo Dodge Stealth. I saved up the money. I bought it myself. My parents bought me a Dodge Stealth, right? It was a non-turbo. It was in a motor car. It was non-aspirated. So I wanted a turbo. At the time I was in high school. I was a part of a car club, Envious Inventions. You know, Fast and Furious came out. You had to be part of a car club. And I was like, you know what? I wanted something I want to build. So I ended up getting a twin turbo Dodge Stealth. Doing some minor things to it. Minor upgrades, exhaust, downpipe, things like that, hard piping, and I did it myself. I did it working at our school, doing extra birthday. We have birthday parties here on the weekends for students and stuff. So I did extra birthday parties, teaching classes, cleaning the school up. I think it was like $6,500. So I saved it up myself. Sure did.
Yeah, first car, I think it might have been an Explorer, Ford Explorer. Over here in New England, you need something, to at least get you through the snow. And it didn't look too bad in the summer. Yeah, I think it was a Ford until I totaled that one on Starro, I believe, or one of them. Yeah, a couple bad car accidents. My insurance paid for it for a little bit, but now I try to just carpool with Tyson wherever I can go.
First car I ever owned, what was it? It was a 1995 Mazda Protege. What was it? Like, I went to college and we got a grant for college, and the remainder of like what I didn't use for books and stuff, I went and bought a car.
All right, so the first car I was just straight up given to drive was when I went to college, and it would have been a 1986 Astrovan in 2001, if that tells you anything, with like 200,000 miles on it. It was, it looked like a tin box, and the asbestos or whatever was hanging on the top, on the inside ceiling, was rotting off and falling. I wish I had it still.
I didn't buy it. My parents gave it to me, but they made me work for it. I kind of like paid them for it in a sense. I got a Ford Escape, but then eventually I used that Escape. I traded it in, and I got the Grand Cherokee. So I was working. I was doing like late night delivery when I was still in like high school and early college. So
what was it? It was a little Chrysler, like really old 1986. I paid $300 for it, and I loved it, and I drove it to the ground. There was a massive hole in the trunk, and I still drove it every time it rained. My radio would go out. But yeah, that was my very first car, and I bought it before I had a license, so that was my favorite car ever.
I had a 1991 Toyota Camry in high school. I got it from my uncle back then, and I thought I'd do anything in that car. I mean, I tried doing donuts in it. I tried doing burnouts in it. That car only lasted me roughly 3 months, but it was a fun thing to have at first.
So I never owned a car of my own that I actually ever bought. The car that I have currently is the first and only car I've ever owned, and it was given to me from my father-in-law. Yeah, it's a Chrysler 300, 2010 Chrysler 300.
Yeah, a Renault Clio, a little one, and I paid for it through just my own money, through saving up many years. I think my parents lent me the money for the insurance, because I don't know how you guys are over there, but insurance over here, I think my car was about £1,000 and my insurance was almost £2,000. So yeah, they loaned me it.
Yeah, I was a Ford F-150. I was a bench seat. It had a 8-foot bed with a cab on it, with a cap on it, and stick shift 3 on the tree. And it was silver. It was a V6, and I want to say I paid for half, and my parents paid for half. I think it was probably like $1,200 or something. But yeah, that was my first one.
I had an old Toyota 4Runner. My mom might have helped me get that, to be quite honest. But it's only I've only owned really 2.5 cars. So now I have a Ford truck, but I mean, that 4Runner, I drove it till it dropped pretty much. Then I gave it to my brother and he wrecked it. But those Toyotas are tough.
I remember it was like a little maroon car. It was a little coupe. But the first car I ever owned was a Honda Civic. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, and then a Honda Accord, and then a Cadillac, and now I have a Lexus. So.
First vehicle I ever owned was a Hyundai Elantra. It was a 97 Hyundai Elantra. The transmission actually went on it, and I could only drive it backwards at one time. So driving home from work one time, getting up to my road, it barely made up the road and just died at the bottom of my road. I live on a big hill. I had to push it, turn it around, get it backwards, and then drive reverse to get back home.